Welcome to my safe Gaven, everybody. Finally, I got my laptop fixed. It cost me about $548. But with that said, we are back with our normal scheduled program. No more having to have your phone like this and the camera all angled in the wrong way or whatever. But with that said, if you guys are new to my channel, it's your first time checking me out, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek and always hit the things that I love to talk about on my channel. Has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I like talk about superheroes, video games, comic books, action movies, horror movies, sci-fi, fantasy, and of course I like to talk about Black representation and queer representation. Yeah, it took me a while to be able to just rattle that off so fast. I'd be like, I saw none. Wait, I got to redo it again. But I did it so many times I could just rap, But anyway,
I love that.
And of course, I like to talk about Black representation and queer representation. Guys, it is Pride Month. It is June 3rd, motherfucker. So support your local gay. Donate to your local gay. I got my Cash App in the link below. Venmo, Michael Dash Simeon. Venmo me. Zelle. No, I'm not gonna give you my phone number for Zelle, but hit me up. Support the merch store. I got a merch store link in the bio. Support your local gay for Pride Month. But with that said, we are here to talk about something spectacular, something amazing, something. Wait, what? Spectacular Spider-Man, amazing Spider-Man. What else is there? I think that's it. But
yeah.
Either way, we're here to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. I know, sad, but you got to get the non-spoiler review out before the spoiler review. The movie just came out. Today is only Saturday, so a lot of people that haven't seen it. But with that said, guys, if you haven't seen it yet, or you have seen it and you plan on seeing it again, check your boy out for the month of Pride. I don't know if you guys have seen the video that I posted here on YouTube, but get there early because right before the preview starts, you'll see your boy on the big screen as part of the Newbieverse. I'm going to be talking about Megan and why Megan is such a queer icon. So support the Newbie. Check it out. Tag your boy. Record it. Tag me on Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. Let me know you saw it. Support your boy. Get there early. With that said, I have a special guest. You guys know her. You love her. Everybody gets excited when she's on here.
Oh,
talk. She's giving me very Issa Rae vibes, which actually works because also, if you guys saw the thumbnail for this video, she did cosplay as the Issa Rae version of Jessica Drew, and she made that jacket all by herself because she creates things, which is in her name. Vanta creates. So with that said, I'm gonna let her introduce herself so she can tell you guys where to find her and everything like that. So Vanta or Issa, take it away. Take it away.
Hey guys, I'm Vanta Creates. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter as Vanta Creates. And if you want to make your own Jessica Drew jacket, please check out my TikTok, Vanta Creates, where I show you a quick guide on how to make the jacket. I'm your cosplayer, pop culture enthusiast, and movie critic. So hit me up if you have questions, comments, and we could talk about movies.
And she's a model. Look at that. Look at the makeup done, all that, the earrings popping. She got the Miles Morales little, I was about to say statue. Clearly not a statue, but the wallpaper behind her. She is all decked out. The purple lighting. She is looking sexy.
It's Pride. I had to come correct.
Yes, you did. Bringing sexy back. The mother, no, I don't know the words. I'm terrible with lyrics. But anyway, with that said, guys, like I mentioned, we are talking non-spoilers for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So hopefully you've seen it. But if not, and if you don't care about spoilers, then check out the video regardless. It'll help support the boy anyway. So watch, like, share, comment, interact on this video for the all gay rhythm. With that said, to give a quick synopsis of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it is part 2 for Spider-Man. What the hell was the first movie called? I forgot. Into the Spider-Verse. There we go. And then now this is Across the Spider-Verse. And then the next movie is going to be Beyond the Spider-Verse or something like that. But anyway, the synopsis for this movie, this is a part 1, is after reuniting with Gwen Stacy, Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Miles Morales, is catapulted across the multiverse where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. However, when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders. He must soon redefine what it means to be a hero so he can save the people he loves the most.
Oh.
So again, non-spoiler review. So Vanta,
spoilers, non-spoilers.
What non-spoilers, non-spoilers, non-spoilers.
Gotta keep it in mind.
What did you think about? Actually, before I ask, what did you think about this movie? What did you think about the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
It's funny. So when the first movie came out, I want to say it was 2018. I was still trying to like get into the nerd space, and I was working really hard, so I didn't get to see the movie in theaters. I was doing another job, so I didn't see it in theaters. So the hype around it, I didn't really get into. I saw it at home like maybe 2 years, maybe like a year or two later. So I saw the hype and I'm like, oh, this is a great movie. I understand why everyone loves it. I have heard Sunflower play 50 million times to the point where I like can't hear it anymore.
That soundtrack is great though. I like that. I love that soundtrack. Yeah.
Incredible. Start a Riot, one of my favorite songs. Like when I get ready in the morning and go for a workout, that's my first song in my head. So yeah, that soundtrack's incredible. That movie was great. The animation was so nice, and there's so many stills from it that are directly from the comics that I'm like, oh my god, this movie is incredible. Now this movie is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah, and I'm very critical when it comes to movies, but the anime, this has now,
you like them more than Fast and Furious? Let me stop.
More than Quantumania?
Well, I mean,
yeah, I know.
It's crazy how I like Fast and Furious 10 more than I like Quantumania, but
yeah,
that's a
whole
another thing. But anyway, continue.
But yeah, I really love this movie because it set a new precedent for animation, and I feel like when you're an artist and when you're an artist in one type of media, you can appreciate all the work in another form of media because you don't have that experience. So seeing the stills, the color, understanding that like some of Gwen Stacy scenes are more like watercolor-esque because of that's how her designs are in the comic, versus Miles that's like gritty and more New Yorker style, and like there's tons of spray paint. Seeing that and the juxtaposition between those two art styles is amazing. And I haven't even like talked about the storyline yet. Like just the animation itself made me so happy. When I left the theater, I'm like, this was like the best movie experience. The audience was great.
And we also saw it at 4DX, so like you got the seats, so you're getting a full immersive experience.
When you go to Universal Studios, the Spider-Man ride is my favorite roller coaster. I have been on that ride probably 200 times, and I felt like the movie and the seats were kind of like in the ride. So it was just such a good overall movie viewing experience that I get the hype behind the first movie. And if I felt this way for the second movie, I probably would have felt that way for the first movie when it came out. But I'm glad I'm having this experience now.
Agreed. Like, I really enjoyed Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, there's too many Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse, Enter the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Realm of the Spider-Verse, Spectacular. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We talking about Spider-Man 1 now, but like Spider-Man, I'm gonna just say Miles Morales 1.
The Miles Morales movie.
Yeah, the Miles Morales movie. But like, I really enjoyed that movie. Like, honestly, it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, which includes the live action movies.
Yeah. And
because like they did a really good job. And then also like I love the fact that this was really the world's first introduction to Miles Morales. Because comic book fans knew who he was, but in terms of like the mainstream, they didn't really know who Miles Morales was. And I thought it was a great introduction. And then right after that, the video game came out. And actually watching this movie makes me want to go back and replay the video game.
Yep.
But like after this movie, the second movie, this was way better than the first one. I love this movie. Like as of right now, this is probably my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of hype around this movie. People were talking about it. I'm just like, all right. Because a lot of times when people be hyping movies and then you see it, you're just like, all right, it was good, but it wasn't all that. But no, this movie was
my expectations.
Fucking tastic.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the color, the splash colors, and one thing that they did that was kind of different than the first movie is, for the most part, the animation was beautiful in the first movie, but it was still mostly the same. Even all the other characters that came from different dimensions, they still had the same animation style as Miles did. But in this movie, every character, every Spider-Man, every universe looked different. And it's also something that I wish that Marvel did with Marvel's What If, when they
Yes.
every single episode that took place in a different universe. I was hoping it would be a different art style, but every single episode was the same art style. And that was disappointing. But with this movie, they made every single episode or every single universe and every character different. And it made it look visually incredible. And then not only just that, but like the soundtrack in the first one was fire. In this one, it wasn't so much the soundtrack, but that score.
Yeah.
And the score in this movie was incredible. There were so many moments where like nothing was really happening. It was just the characters talking, but they had like the piano playing in the background, and you knew it was like some like tension going on, especially like the end, like how the end goes when Miles gets to a certain universe and he meets a certain person, and like the music is playing, and he's like, I was just like, like I was like, there's nothing happening. These characters are just talking, and the music in the background. It's like you are feeling it. Or even like conversations between Miles and his mother, like the music that's playing in the background, like the score. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
And like this movie, and I think the reason I love this movie more than the first movie is, yes, the first movie did focus on Miles, but not really. It was very much still focused on like, it was segmented, but it was still like Peter Parker's story and how Miles fits into Peter's world and Peter's orbit and him trying to find his place in Peter's orbit. And yes, that was some of that in this movie, but it was more so really focused and really driven and really told through Miles's perspective, and everything was driven because of Miles, as opposed to, you know, oh, it's Peter Parker that fell into this world and he's trying to teach Miles, but try to be like him. But this was Peter's story and what makes him different than all the other Spider-Man, and what makes him worthy to be another Spider-Man. And I love that, because Miles is a great character and a character that deserves all the shine and respect that he should get. And it makes me really excited to play this second Spider-Man game that's coming out. And they mentioned that they give you the option to choose whether you're going to play as Miles or Peter throughout most of the game, obviously, except for story element. Obviously, in story elements, you're going to be forced to play as Peter, but for the most part, you get to choose who you want to play as. And I was just like, I'm playing as Miles all day. Miles. Of course. So I'm forced to play as Peter Parker. Now, granted, I love me some Peter Parker. Peter Parker's my first love. You know, he's the original Spider-Man, the OG, but Miles is where it's at. Like, I'm all about.
I'm rooting for everybody black. It's crazy because when I think about this movie, first of all, this movie was made for POC. And
yes, and actually, I think a black person wrote this movie as opposed to the first one. Let me actually verify that. Keep talking.
But even if they did it, you could tell that there were black people in the writing room, because there's some elements and moments and experiences that only we would get, or only people of color would get. Because when we, get to Spider-Man India, there's like some quips and moments he has that are definitely for Indian people. And I love seeing that, because I appreciate other cultures and I appreciate other people, and realizing that other people can relate to this character is great, the same way we relate to Miles. And how black girls are going to relate to Little Mermaid. It's seeing characters that look like you that have such a defining moment for a lot of people.
So no, the story was written by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who are great writers.
Yeah,
they did the Lego movie,
which you can tell. There's moments. There's
definitely
that.
Some of that. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which a lot of people did love. I didn't see that, but a lot of people do love that movie.
Good. And it's just like the book. It was a kid's book, so I liked it.
The remake of 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, which a lot of people love too.
Those are great. Those are hilarious movies.
And then another guy, David Callahan. I don't know if he's black or not, but he also wrote the movie. This one, he wasn't a part of the second one. But either way, you could definitely see that you could tell they did their research, because like you mentioned, like with Spider-Man India, and then also like you got to see a Latina Spider-Man with both Miles Morales and Miguel O'Hara, an Indian Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man, like all these different versions of Spider-Man, to go to show like the main premise and the main focus of Spider-Man is something that goes back to all the way to Stan Lee. Like anybody can wear the mask.
Yeah.
It's just about what you stand for.
Yeah.
And that's a message that they pull and say a lot in this movie. And one of my favorite lines, which was in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but a lot of people, and I'm gonna butcher it, it's not gonna be verbatim, but basically like a lot of people are trying to tell my story, but I'm the only one that can tell it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that. And also like one thing I loved about this movie, and I'm not gonna go any more details into this, but after watching this movie, you just like, and there's a thing that, you know, that moment from Pocahontas, these white men are dangerous. That's what this movie is. Like you can't trust these white, like you can't trust these white people. Like
So
and that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
So when we do the spoiler review, we'll talk more in depth about it, because I agree. And I said, literally, I left the theater and I was like, these white people are dangerous. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And there was a lot of that in this movie. Not that it was like explicitly like, you know, racial elements and everything like that in the movie. It wasn't, but just the dynamics of everything, especially with Miles being one of the only Black Spider-Man, and then the story that, you know, we're not going to fully get into because of spoilers, but I did kind of mention the synopsis of Miles having to find his way and prove why, you know, he is a valid Spider-Man and everything like that. Like, there's definitely a lot of racial undertones, and the fact that, you know, and it goes to show like Chris Lord and Phil Miller, I'm pretty sure they did that on purpose, because it wasn't like so subtle that it wasn't like, it was obvious. And it was very good, and it wasn't heavy-handed or anything like that.
It wasn't like, oh, well, bullshit. It was light enough that POC can be like, I understand and I relate to this, but not so heavy-handed that it's like, racism. This is what you deal with.
Yeah, and it wasn't that, and that's the strength of good writers.
Yeah,
and people that do their research.
Yeah, they did such a phenomenal job, and I'm so glad. So many like little elements of New York culture and just being a New Yorker was in it that I'm like, yeah, this is normal. The scene in the bodega, I'm like, exactly, this is it. He picks up a beef patty. I'm like, yeah, sounds about right. That looks right. And then, you know, they showed it in the trailer, but like there's a rooftop party and, you know, he's swinging around. I'm like, yeah, this is very New York. This is real. This is what we feel and we live by. And I love moments like those, because they're showing they do their research, and they're showing that they understand us, and they are understanding the culture that goes in New York City and the different areas where people are living.
And I also love that we got to see more of Miles's father. We got to see more of Miles's mother.
Yeah. The parents are such a their dialogue is so funny, and I'm like, damn, it doesn't even feel scripted, because some of the things they're saying, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure my parents have had conversations like this, because it sounds a lot like both my parents.
And I also love that they really lean into the fact that Miles isn't just Black, and that's the thing people don't or seem to tend to forget. He's not just Black; he is Afro-Latino.
Yeah, his mother.
Yeah, he's Puerto Rican. His mother is Afro-Latina. She's a Black Puerto Rican.
Yep.
Granted, it varies depending on, like, if you look, like, sometimes in the comics she's more brown, then sometimes they make her more look like Sofia Vergara or whatever. But then if you look at the like Miles Morales video game, she's like basically a white Spanish woman, more or less. But then in this, she's brown. So it's brown. Like they don't know how they want this woman to look. But for the most part, but at least in this particular story, she's Afro-Latina.
Yeah.
So, and Miles Morales, so even if you take out the fact that his father, he's Afro-Latino, and half American, half Black American.
Yeah.
So Black people can also be fully Latino. Like for example, Gina Torres, she's Black, but she's fully Cuban. Her parents are Black Cubans.
They're Cubans. Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize, oh, he's a half breed or whatever. It's like, shut up.
I hate phrases like that. I hate shit like that.
And I do like the fact that there's kind of a little bit of colorism and stuff like that in here, because Miles being Latino, and then Miguel O'Hara being Latino, and Miles he tried to connect with him in certain aspects, and it didn't like. I'm not going to go any further into that, but then he got shut down, and that's a very real thing. Like with Latina people being colorist as well. Like why am I drawing a blank? Namor, Tenoch Huerta, and a bunch of other Afro-Latina people talk about it all the time. Where it's like Telemundo, you don't really get to see a lot of Black Spanish people in Telemundo, you know, or darker skin actors and actors, unless you're playing like a prostitute or a thug and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's real. And even though Miguel O'Hara is kind of brownish, not
I mean,
really.
he's Mexican and Irish, so
Yeah,
yeah, he's
but
brown
yeah, there's
adjacent.
so
Yeah, he's
that
brown.
so there's some of that as well, and I like the fact that that's addressed in the movie. It's just so much in this movie that I just loved, and I want to see it again. I would have
So much.
honestly, because I got off of work at 8 p.m. tonight. It's 10:22 at night. I wanted to go see it again, also because I wanted to see my newbie. I haven't seen it on the big screen yet.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just seen the thing, but you know, I had to do too much to, and then
I
plus
also
I wanted to get this review out. So,
right.
but
I want to see it
I
again.
definitely want to see this movie again.
Yeah.
But I want to see it at IMAX this time.
I feel like I saw it and there was so much happening that I was 100% tuned in. And I'm like looking for
Agreed.
Easter eggs and looking at this and analyzing this. And my brain was just working because I was so involved in it. But I want to watch it again. I don't know how to say it. I want to watch it again so I'm understanding the story a little bit more. And knowing what I know now, I can pick up on a few things.
Exactly. Yeah, because there was so much going on in this
So
movie,
much going on. And I didn't feel
and
like,
not in a bad way. Not in
yeah,
a
I
bad
didn't
way.
feel
Yeah.
overstimulated. It was just, oh my God, we're here and we're here and we're here. And again, that's kind of like living in New York. Like there's so much going on all the time. And this person's yelling, this person's catching a cab, there's a hot dog over there. This person is wearing, 8-inch heels. There's a fashion shoot. Like there's so much going on at
There's
all.
somebody naked with his dick out walking around like it's
Right,
normal.
like
Like,
it's New York, it's just so much. And I loved there's so many elements of this movie that I love that I'm like, this is incredible. It really is one of my favorite movies of all time, just because it just stands out so much to me. There's so many things I could talk about and say that I love. It's like watching a Studio Ghibli movie for the first time. The concepts, the imagery, everything behind it is so nuanced and different that you've never seen anything like this before.
and you could definitely tell that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are comic book fans because there was so
Yeah.
many, not even just Easter eggs and fan service for the sake of fan service, but they definitely did their research. And with the way, like you mentioned, with the way Gwen Stacy's world looked, with the way all these other worlds looked, and then all the different Spider-Man characters that they introduced, and then comic book references and comic accurate character, like it was just so much, and it was so great to be able to see it on screen. And then also going back to the main character, Miles Morales, it still lets you know that despite all of these other Spider characters in this movie, it is still his movie.
Miles movie.
It is still his movie.
Yeah.
But also with that, I do love the fact that we did get more backstory on Gwen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Played by Haley Steinfeld, who I love. I love Haley Steinfeld. Shout out to her as Kate Bishop.
It's so funny because, and I say this all the time, this iteration of Gwen Stacy isn't my favorite. She's okay. She's all right. But I was happy.
Are you saying from this movie or just Spider Gwen in general?
I think from this movie, because she's a little too angsty, and I don't know. It's like that teenage feeling that I'm like, I don't want to remember teenage years. Like maybe she reminds me of myself or something. I don't know, but I also don't like her haircut. But that's a different story. But no, her costume design is dope, and I relate. You've got these feelings and you don't know how to express them, so you're trying to take them out on your drum kit and you're taking them out on your family, and you just can't explain what you're feeling in these moments. And that's great. I see it and I understand it, but I don't relate to her. But I can appreciate what she brings to the movie, and her art design, and like so many scenes with her are so beautiful. Also, we haven't talked about like this movie, like every frame is a still for your laptop. Like
yes, like there's so many like almost like splash pages, and like again, the art design is incredible. They need to get all types of Oscars.
Yeah, the art book is sold out on Amazon.
Oh wow.
Already. The Blu-ray DVD.
I didn't even know they had an art book.
Yeah, sold out. And I'm like, that's such an impact. I'm also
let me hit up. I need to find somebody who made the art book. Is it like Disney Publishing or whatever?
I don't even remember.
Look through my contacts and be like, yo, somebody get me this art book.
But I'm just thinking, in 10 years, when you say Spider-Man, people are gonna be like Miles Morales. They're not gonna say Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And that's such a big impact. And seeing little girls seeing little Black girls and Black boys love Miles, seeing little kids just love Gwen, like it's not Peter's story anymore. It's Gwen's story. It's Miles' story. It's even Penny's story. Like from the first movie. People love Penny. It's noir story. It's like all these,
and even getting to see Pavitr Parker. I'm butchering the name,
yeah,
but India Spider-Man.
Yeah.
People are gonna love that character when they see him. They're gonna want to see more of him. And there's so many different Spider-Man stories that they can spin off. And because I would love to see more of his story.
I would love to see more of his story. I'm so happy that the younger generations are getting this, because
representation equals normalization.
Yeah, we have Peter B. Parker. All right, he's cool, but he's not Black. He's not one of us. He's not from Brooklyn. Well, he's from Queens, but whatever. But
and that's one thing. And that's one thing. That's one of the downsides about things like Marvel and DC, in terms of like hindering, like they're not allowed to evolve because these characters have to stay. Like Superman always has to be Clark Kent. Batman always has to be Bruce Wayne. Like you'll never get to see Dick Grayson finally get past the mantle to be Batman. You're never going to see officially Miles Morales get, even though I feel like at this point, like, not to say you got to get rid of Peter Parker, but like the worst thing that they did in the comics is retcon his relationship with Mary Jane, and the fact that he ended up was going to have a kid with Mary Jane, Mayday Parker. Like people love Mayday.
Mayday. People love Mayday.
And you got to see her in this movie. And it's not a spoiler because it was in the trailer, but like,
okay, I was like, don't say that out loud.
No, it's in the trailer, but like, but that's also like Peter Parker. Like there was an Elseworld story called Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. Running out of time. I got 9 minutes left.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
But there was a comic called Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, and it took place in an Elseworld story. Spider-Man got married. He had a kid. He had his daughter. He was still Spider-Man. He was still living his life, but he got to grow up. And those comics sold more than the regular Spider-Man comics.
Millions.
They sold more than the regular Spider-Man comics because that's what people. Because how long could Peter Parker just be broke and still living with a roommate and be a
broke photographer? Like,
yeah, at this point, that's not his story anymore. Like he needs to evolve. Like there's been moments that he got to become CEO and yada yada yada. Like there's no way that you're best friends with Tony Stark or you're as smart as you are, yada, and you're still broke. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You should be at MIT running laps around people. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. As smart as you are, like let that be the new story of Peter Parker. He can still be Spider-Man, but let him take a back seat to there's other characters. There's now Silk, there's Miles, there's Spider-Gwen, even though she takes place in another universe.
There's Jessica Drew.
There's Jessica Drew. There's other characters. And he could be like the mentor.
Yeah.
And this also proved that to me even more so, like getting to see Peter B. Parker be in that same be in the relationship with Mary Jane, have his daughter, be an older Spider-Man, and still be that mentor to Miles, and show that it can still work and still have him be involved in the story, but he's just at a different place in his life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. And I'm glad that we're moving away from like the origin stories of like the original characters, and we're trying to like evolve with, as nerd culture gets, and nerd and pop culture gets more mainstream, we're evolving. We're getting those backstories of the characters that we've always wanted to see more of.
Agreed. But with that said, I mean, we could talk about this movie all day, but I want to get specific into spoilers, but this is a non-spoiler review. But with that said, as we already mentioned, love this freaking movie. Definitely gonna see it again. Gonna buy it on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna see it again in 4DX because 4DX tickets are expensive. But I do recommend, if you have a Regal Cinemas in your area, definitely go see it in 4DX. And Vanta, final thoughts on Spider-Verse?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse. Across the merry-go-round. Whatever. Miles Morales too.
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I think everybody should see it. I'm gonna try to convince my parents to go and watch it with me, because some of those family moments I think everyone can relate to. I gave it a solid 10 out of 10. Like I said, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Agreed. Like I said, love the movie. My favorite movie of the year. Definitely want to see it again. And
Ant-Man.
Yeah, not Ant-Man. And I would say, yeah, it's a pretty much, granted, no movie is perfect, but it's a perfect movie. Obviously, there's things you can nitpick, but in terms of like when I say perfect, it's about how you felt at the end of the movie.
Yes.
And I was hyped, especially being that this is a part where this is like the Infinity War of the Avengers saga. So this is a part 1. So it does end on a cliffhanger, because then they did announce, this is part 1. So don't be disappointed, by the ending or anything like that, because I did have somebody say that. But with that said, this movie was an incredible ride. I absolutely loved it. I love these characters. I want to see more of these characters. I want to see more of Miles. I want to see more of Peter B. Parker. I want to see more of Gwen. I want to see more of India Spider. I want to see more of another Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man that was like working IT that, you know, help
yeah, Spider Bite.
That they show. I want to see so many of these other characters, and definitely can't wait to see some people cosplay as these characters for New York Comic Con. Not me, because my cosplay days are over. I'm retired.
Yeah, right. He says that, but it's not true. I'm making something for him. But
I'm mostly retired.
Mostly retired. But I will most definitely be debuting a new Spider cosplay. So stay tuned for that, because your girl is going to be working hard this year.
But yeah, with that said, guys, the question is, what did you think about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Be on the lookout. Hit the bell notification button if you haven't already, to be on the lookout for when I'm going to try to see if we can go live to talk about Across the Spider-Verse. Maybe on Tuesday. Maybe. It depends, because I'm off that day, but everybody isn't off on Tuesdays. So it depends on people's schedules and all that other stuff.
I'm never off.
but we'll see if they don't, especially since it's Pride Month. People try to tell me they're busy, homophobic. But with that said, hopefully you made it to the end of this video. If you did, thank you so much. Make sure to watch, like, share, comment, interact on this video for the All Gay Rhythm, to get the channel out there, this video out there, so it can be recommended to other people. Get the channel out there so it can be recommended to other people, so it can continue to grow the channel, continue to grow the train, continue to make it gay, keep it gay all day, every day.
All day,
and with that said, make sure, again, please hit that like button, help with the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and check out the other videos on my channel. Make sure to follow and check out Vanta. All of her links and all that stuff will be in the description box below. And with that said, we are out. Be on the lookout, because this is a busy month. What, next week I think it's Transformers.
Yep.
Gonna review that. Still got to review The Blackening. I did see that already. And then a bunch of other stuff. And if you're gonna be in DC during Juneteenth weekend, catch me at Awesome Con. I will be there. So the 15th, 16th, and 17th. So be on the lookout for your boy in DC. And with that said, we are out. Peace.